So, Gail,
Yes,
you live in San Antonio, Texas,
I do.
and you are a retiree.
Yes, I am.
All right. Uh, Let me ask you this. Please tell me about the challenges you faced in your retirement. What were you feeling emotionally, and what were your frustrations?
Um, I didn't think about what I was going to do. I had remarried, and my husband died 2 years after we were married. I had a Social Security check, and I also had my dad's property in the desert that I leased out. So I had two incomes. So I was doing well. I was comfortable. Um, I had grandchildren around and children, and I didn't seem to have a lot of concerns except for different things that they were experiencing
Okay.
and trying to help them whenever I could.
All right.
So I don't recall being unhappy or uncomfortable at that time. Then when I had to have the open heart surgery, when they told me that, I of course was in denial for about 1.5 years. And then the time came when I couldn't really deny it any longer. So I had the surgery. And then I wasn't working anymore. And my accountant sat me down and he said, well, in the meantime, I had sold my dad's place, put it in a 1031. And Dawn and Jim, my daughter and her family, had moved from Delaware to San Antonio. And she said, Mom, you should come to San Antonio. You can buy property here for a lot less money than you can do in California. And I had a window of time, I think 45 days, to roll that money over. So I came to San Antonio and picked out this house that you are seated in. I never expected to live here, but when my accountant pointed out the fact that I was retired and I had no income, but I still had a mortgage, he said, well, that's a no-brainer. You've got family in San Antonio. You've got a house there that's paid for. I was leasing this out as well. So I understood about cash flow a little bit, but I guess I never came face to face with the fact of not having cash flow. No job, no cash flow. So
what were you feeling? What were the emotions that you were feeling?
I was feeling concerned about my security. In my heart, God had never let me down. So I have to say that's always been a main thing for me. So I give him the glory for what I have now.
Right.
And good friends and family support. You certainly are one of those friends. But I feel blessed when I look around and I have friends who are my age and are struggling. And I thank God every day when I get up for what I have.
Yeah.
I do. I have a home that's paid for, and I have my health, and I'm blessed. I am very blessed.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. So then something happened in 2008, and then the same thing happened again in 2011. Can you tell me what that was?
2008, oh my goodness, the market went south in a big hurry. 2008, I actually moved into this house, and I learned that he had rearranged any kind of inheritance that he and my mom had together, and any part of it that I was going to have. Apparently, he made other arrangements. But my stepsister came to see me, and she brought me a check for a little over $50,000 because she knew what her dad had done wasn't fair. But I lost all that in the stock market that year, and I just I felt very vulnerable to what was going on, and I knew that I had to make some kind of change. So I asked the gentleman who'd been handling my affairs since the 70s. He had moved from Merrill Lynch to Wells Fargo, and so I said, I don't care what you do, get me out of the stock market. Absolutely. Money markets, well, you don't make much money at all in that, but at least you aren't losing thousands at a time. And I have a friend in my Bible study class who has annuities, so I took everything out and put it into an annuity, and that's where it is today. So you don't make a lot there either, but at least it's not going away in leaps and bounds. Yeah. So that's what I did with that at the time. I did it quickly. I felt a little panicky. I guess that's the word. Okay. I felt panicked about that.
And then again in 2011, what happened? What was your urgency level after 2011 when the market took a tumble again for the second time, and you moved your money out of the market, all of it out of the market?
Everything.
Everything. What was your urgency level and your motivation there to restore your retirement?
For security. I wasn't seeing. That was my IRA in there, and I knew that I couldn't just take it out and spend it. It had to be somewhere in another IRA, and so I put it into this annuity, just based on the fact that I learned about it through a friend of mine in my Bible study class. Her husband is in that, I can't think of the name of it, but I put all the money there in one chunk out of my IRA, and it's just there. And I don't know that, maybe because I was just in such a hurry to get it out of Wells Fargo, that I took that choice. I didn't know what else to do at that time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, shortly before that, you had met me, and you had gone through my course. You had gone through my training.
We were just starting that at that time.
Yeah. And you were beginning to learn about investing for yourself.
Right.
How did you feel when you connected with me?
Oh, I was learning things that I had never even heard of or considered. Some things I'd heard of all my life. You need to keep track of how you spend your money, and I wasn't doing a very good job at that. But you made it very clear that you don't know how much money you need if you don't know how much you spend. And so from that day, I've been keeping a 12-column. I'm a numbers person. Things have to add up, right? So I spread out this little 12-column book, and I put down everything I spend for groceries, all my utilities, gasoline, yada, 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 personal stuff. And I keep pretty good track of that. So I know what I spend for all these things every month. So I know what I need. And then seller financing, I thought. Seller financing, this is all really new, and yet I've used those principles now since, you've walked me through those things, and it's worked out. It's worked out. So I don't know how that works out, and don't ask me to explain it to you, but it has. So with my condo in California, I took that plunge and did a seller financing on my condo. And
what was it like before you sold it? You had it.
Oh my goodness! Well, I leased it. I had a manager, and she managed the property. A property manager out there, and let's see. I think we went through a couple of tenants. See, I've been here 6 years now. A couple of tenants, and after each tenant we had to paint and clean carpets, and there was this and that, and
just a headache, right?
It was a headache. It was truly a headache. And then finally I thought, I'm not going to do this again. I'd already done that with my dad's property, I did it a couple of times, and then the last time I did it, and the man I tried to lease it to, he said, "Could I just buy it from you outright?" And I jumped at it. I said, "Yeah." I did it. I sold it. And then, you know what I did with the money, came down here. But so I thought, okay, so I'm going to put it on the market for sale. And I found in California, they're not that, you have to really hunt and peck for somebody who knows how to do that in California.
Mm-hmm. Seller financing.
Seller financing. Mm-hmm. So, because the lady that was my property manager in California, she wouldn't touch it. Right. She said, "I'm not going to get involved in that." Like it was, I don't know, a sin or something. It was the devil,
right?
Yeah, it was the devil. But I did find a man who would do it, and he sold it. We worked out a deal with a man who couldn't get a loan. And at first I was nervous. I'm carrying this paper. Mm-hmm. He couldn't get a loan. So I guess it just wrapped around my mortgage. Mm-hmm. He paid my mortgage. This is just amazing. This is using other people's money, right?
Yes.
He was paying my mortgage, and because I was holding all of this note stuff, he was paying me interest. So there's the cash flow. Mm-hmm. So it was the best of both worlds.
There you go.
It was absolutely the best of both worlds. I couldn't believe it.
And you didn't have any management?
I didn't have any management.
Maintenance or vacancy or any of those problems anymore?
And this man paid the gentleman who was facilitating all the paperwork, mm-hmm. and the attorney, he paid for everything.
Right.
Didn't cost me anything.
Right.
So then and then I guess that was supposed to work out. Either he was going to buy it after 5 years, or I was going to keep it, excuse me, or whatever. He decided, and he was a contractor. Mm-hmm. He did all kinds of improvements. Mm-hmm. Granite counters. I had done a lot before I left, mm-hmm. but he really did it. Mm-hmm. And then he wanted to sell it and go back to Hawaii. Mm-hmm. Wow. So then, after doing that for a year and a half, paying my mortgage, mm-hmm. and doing all the upgrades on it, mm-hmm. we sold it for $325,000. Of course, he got the 90% mm-hmm. thing because mm-hmm. he did it. Anyway, it worked great. And then I did a 1031. Uh-huh. And I'm going to leave it there because that's where we are.
That's where we are.
That's where we are.
And so now you're an investor on a much larger real estate deal, a commercial real estate deal.
Yes.
And the cash flow coming in from that real estate deal is more than enough to pay for your retirement.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
It's double.
That's right.
It's double what I was getting.
Right. And you did it all without any taxes.
Yes, I did.
And you had what would you call the outcome on a level of 1 to 10? How would you, 10 being highest and 1 being the lowest, how would you rate the outcome?
A 10. 12. 10 or 12. I didn't spend any money doing this.
Right.
I haven't paid any taxes doing this.
Because you haven't owed.
I haven't owed any.
And we structured it so you wouldn't owe.
Yeah. So and we've done it with attorneys, so I'm believing that we haven't done anything illegal.
We haven't done anything illegal. It's all perfectly fine.
Okay.
So you got a successful outcome.
Well, yes.
And what are your plans and goals for the future? Tell me about the trip that you're taking, going to see your grandkids.
Yes, Robin, my daughter, who lives with me, and I are going to Laguna Beach on Saturday. We're going to be there a week. I don't know, but if traveling were in it, I wouldn't mind going to France. I'd love to go to Portugal. I'm healthy.
Good on you. Good on you, Gail.
And I'm blessed. I don't know.
So looking back to what you hope to gain from your investments, would you say that it exceeded your expectations?
Oh, absolutely.
What is the likelihood of you recommending me and my company, Delta Business Services,
Yes.
to another person who is a business owner, for example, who's wanting to sell?
Oh, well, if you give me enough cards. I'm your biggest fan.
All right, all right. We got a raving fan here.
Yeah.
What specifically would you tell someone to get them to try us? Specifically.
To go to your website and listen to everything I've just said. I don't know if I can repeat all that, but I would just say that if they have any doubt about it, they can certainly meet with you and hear what you have to say, as well as I'm sure everyone has their own particular circumstances, but for the knowledge of investing the way you present it, it's a no-brainer.
Thank you.
And not only that, but you are a man of great integrity and honor.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much. So, how was working with us different than working with the previous professionals that you had worked with in the investment arena? All of the different folks that you had worked with before.
Well, the people I invested with in the stock market, I was at that time was Merrill Lynch. He was my husband's stockbroker. So, I just put my money with him. And I saw him once in a while. He was a very personable young man, a good Christian man he had a family, and I really liked him. I liked him a lot. I trusted him. I think that he did the best he could under the circumstances of the stock market itself. He put me into things. I didn't know anything about the stock market. I didn't really have any business in. I think you need to know what you're doing in a stock market and not just trust someone. But you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So it wasn't like he took advantage of me, or I think there towards the end when he left Merrill Lynch when Orange County went down.
Right.
He went to Wells Fargo. I think it was Wells Fargo, and he got out of it because he could see there was something not right going on with Orange County, so he got out of that. But I just what I got from my stepsister, from my stepdad in that, I lost all of that because I put it into the stock market with Tim. I lost all of that, and so I kind of lost trusting Tim. But it wasn't like, it wasn't anything like what we had.
Right.
Because he didn't have time.
But what would you say the three biggest distinctions are between us?
This is more personal.
Yeah.
Yours is more personal.
Okay.
You really take an interest to present it well, and if someone doesn't understand it, then you don't do it unless they understand it.
Right.
Yeah.
Make sure that someone understands it.
Right.
I haven't done my job unless they do understand it.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have, and this is the last question, do you have any other coaching for me or for us so that we can improve the way we do business?
I don't think so. I mean, who comes to your house and brings you money they owe you, right? How could it be any better than that? Hand delivered. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Gail, thank you so much for taking the time to give this video testimonial. We would like to be able to use it for coaching purposes and to be able to put it on our website, of course, with the few caveats that you mentioned.
All right.
And I extend my sincerest appreciation to you for your time and your input. I consider this an immensely valuable experience, and I warmly welcome you to the Delta Business Services family. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate it.
God bless you.
God bless you.
All right.